Good morning, mate. How you doing? Thursday. We're going to talk about Onana and what happened, because I actually think it's absolutely nuts, and I think it's quite interesting, and it probably explains quite a lot. But before we get into that, I'm talking about Thursday, because as I was saying Thursday, my head filled in the next line and went International Squaddie Night Out, which might need explaining. What happened? And do you know what? Serving lads and ladies, talk to me. Or are you lot like the rest of society where going out is now secondary to social media? Is that going out for kids nowadays? Anyway, International Squaddie Night Out. What was International Squaddie Night Out? Well, it was, you went out on Thursdays. If you're on a course, you're going out on a Thursday. If you're in camp, you're going out on a Thursday. And the whole idea of it is to get, and I'll be honestly, in a tactical athlete world, it's not ideal. And maybe this is what's changed. Maybe soldiers do see themselves as tactical athletes. But back in the 2000s, it was all about going out, absolutely dripping in River Island and French Connection clothes. Possibly wearing shoes, because there was a weird thing that you couldn't go in nightclubs if you weren't wearing shoes. And I know I've seen some more you lot go out in at the moment and you look like you're going to the gym, half of you. However, in the 2000s, it was de rigueur to rock the shoes, your jeans, and your absolute best River Island t-shirt. Go out, get absolutely steam trained. And it was man points to be had for being the last one into camp. Because Fridays, for the civilians amongst you, Fridays commanding officers PT, which is typically battle PT, it's either a tab, the assault course, something absolutely disgusting, quite hard, and that lasts a couple of hours to really finish off the week. Now, the crack with CO's PT is that was all you did sometimes on a Friday, and then you just got to go home for the weekend. So the man points that were on offer for you being the last one into camp, not been to bed, lads, steaming, throwing up, but completing it, because that's the thing, you can't not complete it. International Squaddie Night Out into CO's PT. You could not pay me enough right now to get smashed on a Thursday, get up early on a Friday and perform. I'm 41. My body feels all of 76. And my hangover tolerance, you lot don't know, right? In the 90s, it's doable, or 2000s. When you're a teenager, when you're in your early 20s, hangovers, they genuinely ain't shit. They genuinely ain't shit. You laugh, you get up, you can play Sunday League on a Sunday morning. It don't matter. Now, this happened probably after 30, I would say. A hangover after 30, and certainly one after 40, I need 2 or 3 days on a sofa, I need a cuddle. I don't know what it is. There's definitely something in, that's the one place I do feel aging, is in my hangovers. Anyway, enough of that. André Onana, what happened and what happens next? Well, what happened, I think, is down to on one hand, it's a power play. On another hand, it's a ballsy call. On another hand, in case you had 3 hands, it happens. It was pretty stupid, wasn't it? And even though I do love this about Onana, because people go, you just defend him constantly. I don't. What I say, and you prove my point really, people call him the worst goalkeeper we've ever had. I mean, he's provably not even the worst goalkeeper at the club. Bayındır's miles off him. He's a pretty ordinary Manchester United keeper. Certainly nowhere near the best. Certainly nowhere near the worst. And in terms of goalkeepers in the Premier League, he's probably still above average. But you don't want to have that conversation, because people have to live in the extremes, don't they? That's what they do. Everything's either the best ever, the worst ever. No one wants to talk about nuance. And with Onana, he had some really good qualities, some really good traits, and some that just weren't good enough to be Manchester United keeper. Going into this window, I thought the priority was sort the attack out, let's score some goals. We didn't actually concede tons and tons of goals last year, but we didn't score enough. Literally, our defence record was very similar to teams that was in and around the top 4. So, we easily could have competed if we could have just scored more goals. So we got more goals, and then I thought the midfield became the next priority. That didn't mean goalkeeper wasn't a priority in the slightest. It was the next thing on the list. Now, United as a club clearly decided to pull the trigger on a goalkeeper, albeit one that isn't prem proven, a bit more of a work in progress of a keeper, ahead of a midfielder. And I think a part of the reason why that happened is because of, at some point in the summer, now, if you think your mind's back, it was actually reported. Onana went into Carrington like a week or so after the season ended, and there was speculation as to what he was going in for. I wonder if that was the day. I wonder if that was the day that he bowled in, knocked on the gaffer's office and was like, hey, I've got an idea. Why don't you pay me 25% more? I mean, we don't know what the numbers was. We know that he asked for a pay rise because we'd lost Champions League qualification. So we can summarise that he probably didn't ask to double his wage, but maybe he just asked to top it back up to what he'd lost with the Champions League lack of qualification. Either way, on the back of that season where a lot of fans were unhappy with you, whether or not all fans thought you were the absolute pressing requirement that was needed to be changed, I still thought we could upgrade him and probably should upgrade him, but it was lower down the priority than a number 9 was. So that existed. Fans thought you should probably go. Talk about not reading the room. Now, there is a lot of things Ruben Amorim has to sort, has to get right, has to improve. Discipline and attitude and his command of that, and I would also say his authority across that isn't one of the things that he needs to fix, because someone says something, does something, pisses him off, goes out of what he deems to be acceptable behaviour, and they are gone. I have to give Wilcox some credit for that, Barada and etc. some credit for that, because I think in the past we've had coaches and managers come in and be undermined by the board, not fully backed by the board in terms of actioning people that they're not happy with, don't want to work with. But Ruben's been able to come in and be absolutely ruthless with the people that haven't got what he deems to be the right stuff. And I guess Onana found himself on that, because from a pure ability point of view, what else changed across the summer for Bayındır to suddenly find himself as the number 1? Because let's be real with ourselves, Bayındır's cameos as first choice goalkeeper for United, how can I put this, weren't good, right? I think that's fair, right? So Onana finds himself as number 2. United probably do have Lammens on the radar and either decided to act on it this summer and whatever. But now we find ourselves with 4 goalkeepers. And Tom Heaton, it looks like, is never going to put a shirt on. So I guess Tom Heaton's not going to play. He is just de facto third choice goalkeeper. Professional United fan. Hell of a title. But then you've got Onana and Bayındır. Who holds the higher value and who would be happier being number 2? You would presume Bayındır would be happier being number 2, but does his nose get bent out of shape when Lammens comes in? Don't know. Does Onana see himself as a number 2? Would he be willing to sit and be a number 2? Because what you've also got to remember, we are in a World Cup season. There isn't a player out there that wants to sit on a bench during World Cup season. I did see something this morning, I debated talking about that, to be honest, which was United actually put in an inquiry for Angelo Stiller far too late in the window, and Stiller said he was happy with, or maybe the inquiry came back as Stiller was happy with his situation at Stuttgart, that he was a starter, that he was in good form, and that's what he wanted to continue to make sure that he goes to the World Cup with Germany. So it never really got to a bid stage. And I think if you look at the way United have handled themselves this window, personal terms with a player seems to be our first thing that we do. Which again, if that was what we weren't doing under the Woodward and Judge regime, does that also explain the high transfer fees that we were paying? Were we going and getting the negotiation with a club done first as per the rules, and then trying to speak to the player, which had meant we spent 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks negotiating with the club, and then we sat down with the player and began the negotiations with them? Whereas you can almost start both simultaneously if you're smart, and then the second that you get the green light from the player, that's another bit of leverage that you take to the club, and you say the player wants to come. Because United have been so bad at negotiating transfers, you've got to wonder, what was everybody else doing? So the fact that it gets to the point with Stiller where we hear what he preferred to do, I think that stacks up. So now you've got these 4 goalkeepers. Tom Heaton, we know, is going to be pretty happy to be third choice behind whoever decides to be second choice. But could Onana be second choice? Is he going to be happy to be second choice? I don't know. And I don't know if Bayındır, who saw himself as second choice behind Onana, or was second choice behind Onana, is going to accept a new signing coming in and then being second choice behind him. And of course we've got young goalkeepers out on loan, which I'm putting a loan watch together for Tuesday or Wednesday next week about those specifically, because I think they're quite interesting as a bit of a pair. But yeah, so I just thought, I haven't got the answers, I got the questions. What's going to happen with Onana and Bayındır now? I don't know. Anyway, it's Thursday, as you know, International Squaddie Night Out. If you're getting after it tonight, let me know in the comments. If you're stacking the wins, let me know in the comments. I am off to the gym bright and early. Today it's hypertrophy day, so it's a little bit of the beach muscles today. The chest, the back, the biceps, the triceps, the shoulders. I've developed tennis elbow. I'm not sure how. In my right arm, it's quite painful. It's doing my head in, if anything. Don't even play tennis. Not affecting my lifts though, which is bizarre, isn't it? If I have to reach a water bottle like that at arm's length, I'll go and it'll hurt. But I can do lateral dumbbell raises. How does that work? How does that make any level of sense? I don't know either. But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying the feedback and the comments about people. I'm not going to make these preachy in the morning. I'm just going to tell you the things that I'm up to. And I'm going to say, I'm here for you. I'm here. This community is here for you guys to support each other and do what you're doing. And I'm already seeing that. And I love that. Like I said, my self-talk used to be incredibly negative. I think that comes from the military. Nothing's ever good enough. I might do a video. I don't like the phrase. I don't like the phrase at all, which is the curse of competence. But I'm debating doing a solo podcast on the curse of competence, because I think the British Army suffers from the curse of competence. And if you apply the curse of competence to Manchester United, it fits. And it probably fits for a lot of you in a lot of different ways in your life. Chris Williamson explains this really well. But I don't like the title of it, because curse of competence is not, it doesn't fit. I would rephrase it, rename it to something about expectations, but I don't know what. I haven't got the articulation to be able to do that. But for me, what curse of competence is is when you're good at something and you have high expectations, completing the thing does not bring a sense of achievement. So to put it in a United context, United beat Burnley at the weekend. You're not allowed to have joy in beating Burnley. You were meant to beat Burnley. And it kind of, like the British Army, there is no joy in you doing your job. You're expected to do your job. And then the focus sort of shifts into you give attention to what's the word I'm looking for? Correct wrong behaviour rather than celebrate correct behaviour. And when you think about football and sport at the highest level, winning sometimes becomes a relief rather than a celebration. Celebration comes from unexpected results rather than expected results. And I'm thinking about doing a video on it because I think it's a really interesting concept. But it's sort of a lot of what I do, and I think a lot of the way I see stuff is I put the work in and then I expect the result that comes with it. So I don't get happy at getting the result. Even if the result is good, I almost don't get happy with it because I put that much pressure on myself to achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve, that it's become the expectation that I achieve it, and therefore there is no joy in the actual achievement of it. I mean, Google it as a phrase because it probably gets explained a little bit better than I'm doing a bit of a clunky job on the fly here of doing that. But I think it's really interesting. And there's loads of little things like that I would like to explore. But for me, the positive self-talk, stack the wins, steady pressure, and just the encouragement, I think helps. Don't necessarily get the dopamine hit because you still have the expectation. Like, I don't get an attaboy for going to the gym. I'm fucking supposed to go to the gym. I don't get any idea for that. Or any dopamine for that. And I've seen some people saying, I wish I had the motivation. I don't have the motivation. I have the discipline. You think I want to get up every morning? Think I'd rather not roll over and cuddle a wife? No. But to get the results that I want, I've got to do the things I don't want to do. Stop waiting to have motivation, because you're not going to have motivation. There's a phrase I like. We do it anyway. I'm tired. We do it anyway. I don't want to. We do it anyway. It's raining. We do it anyway. It's cold. We do it anyway. I'm still sore from yesterday. We do it anyway. What gets scheduled gets done. Anyways, struggling to book guests for the podcast. Nobody said no to us, but the scheduling has been difficult. So I've got people booked in for next month. I haven't got anybody booked in for this month. There is a great podcast dropping today with Danny Birch. There's a lad that I went to college with who's now a world-class tattooist. So go and check it out. I think it's coming out at 12 on the Stephen Howson podcast. And have a good day. I'll see you later.